We've been playing about this for like over a
For
week.
like ever. Okay, we have been playing this forever.
When did you get here?
I got here like 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
It's 2 months.
Remember actually
October.
when you were when we were meeting about you coming here?
Yeah.
We actually talked about this.
Yeah, it's about doing a Coffee with Kyan episode. But just helping you with Coffee with Kyan, not being on the episode with Coffee with Kyan.
So cheers on all the campaign
Cheers, yes.
accomplished because Jazmin did a lot of amazing things. Pretty much kind of throw under the fire right away with Dreamforce.
Dreamforce was the biggest project of my life. No, it was because I had to create a story for people to follow before we got to Dreamforce, while we were at Dreamforce, and after Dreamforce without people not even knowing who we were.
Yeah.
So, but when we got there, everyone was like, oh, I see you guys on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So I was like, okay, what I've been doing has been working, especially on LinkedIn. So, but I definitely got through into the fire like really, really quick.
And get a gist of it, learning about not just staffing recruitment, learning about Salesforce, learning about Dreamforce, which is most of you have been following Coffee Key and know that it's billions and billions of dollars involved in entire production and all.
Yeah, this is my first time in the recruitment industry space. I came from automotive, I've done fashion, I've done music a little bit, lifestyle, but I've never didn't know anything about Salesforce. I mean, I've used it before, but I didn't know about a Salesforce developer or a technical architect. I didn't know anything about Infor. I mean, literally nothing about the recruitment industry. So I had to like teach myself and then be like, okay, how can I market a recruitment agency that's niche? Because a lot of people don't know that we're niche, that we do something.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think it's one of those things
niche
that's
or
tomato,
niche.
potato.
Yeah, niche or niche. But a lot of people don't know that. They think of IT Works. They think I work for the body wrap company first. Oh, you work for It Works? And I'm like, no, I work for a technology company. But it's a different industry, than what I'm used to. So, but it's a good challenge. I'm like really excited.
Good. Glad to hear. Because you have a very unique background from academic first to start through from company corporate side of things to agency side of things, and obviously from your personal professional adventure. There are a lot of things thrown at you, and then it's kind of funny that people used to went from the very degree certification centric type of culture to now is people want to go after somebody who's doing this all the time. Yeah. And then not throwing the generation in there.
No, because millennial.
Yeah, and it has almost like become a job criteria, not to throw in the discrimination type of things. Social media create that bubble, create that perception of you gotta be XYZ millennial, whatever label put it out there to be really, really good at it.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about me, not even a cool thing about me, I've worked in corporate where I've worked for Porsche, and then I worked for an agency where I learned how to do social media at an agency setting at the Dalton agency. So like I had to learn both, where in corporate everything is really more serious. It's you can't get as creative, you just don't, versus in an agency it's kind of like post whatever you want, anything in engagement. I just want to see something different. So I've learned both sides and I like both sides, but I truly enjoy agency more. Like here I can be 100% creative. I could just put something out and I'm like, Gary, do you like this? Yeah, I love it. It's not, nothing's wrong or nothing's right. And so that's the cool thing about social media. I mean, obviously there's some things not to post. Like with corporate world, you can't really be creative. Everything is just the same branding and the same messaging. It's all, I don't want to say boring, but sometimes it is boring.
You gotta be really creative. Because before we actually tap into the social media sector in there, I actually have one thing I want to ask you because it's a little tricky. Yeah. Before that you may have a specific product or a brand, for example. Right. Let's say Audi, let's say Coca-Cola, let's say, there's something that a brand association directly to, there's actually a physical product. Right. How do you look at recruitment specifically?
Recruitment, I mean, I look at it, it's different because it's kind of, especially here, for example, I'm in a recruitment agency, right? But I have to brand every single market. If you guys don't know, we do different markets here.
/ individual.
Right, and so I have to learn how to brand the individual, which is, every single individual on the Salesforce team, you had, Jared Kazia, and then I have to brand the market, which is Salesforce, and then I also have to brand the company. And then within the company, you have Coffee with Kyan, then you have my Tip Tuesdays, then you have Gary, who's the CEO. So I kind of look at it all as, it's really a full circle, but recruitment in itself, I didn't realize that social media plays a major role into it. At first I thought it was just LinkedIn. It's like, no, it's so much more. You can use Instagram, you can use Pinterest. I mean, you can use Facebook, you can use Twitter, all to find people for jobs. And I didn't even know so much about the recruitment industry really until I got here. So
it's kind of funny because in recruitment and staffing specifically, social media wasn't in reverse. Staffing wasn't social media's number one for some reason back in the day, 10 years ago. Now this past 5+ years, social media, I think even nowadays when you say social media, people look at you like, what generation are you coming from?
Right.
It's all about the platform, it's all about the apps, it's all about the hype that's going on out there.
It's not about posting anything anymore. I always try to tell older people, I don't like to say it like that, but older people that come and speak to me about social media and they have a business or whatever the case is, they're like, how can I use social media? And now it's not just about posting, it's about analyzing what you're posting, making graphics, knowing about video engagement, knowing who's watching your stuff, knowing who your audience is. Like if you don't even know who your audience is, and I always preach this, know your brand, know your audience. If you don't know who your audience is, it's like a wasted space. You know, what you're posting on social media means nothing if your audience is completely different from what you're posting.
There's no engagement, there's no relevance, there's no value.
There's no money.
People shocked about how much analytics going in there, and then looking at what a teenager, for example, a middle school or high school kids will be looking at, actually looking at Coffee Kyan, for example, looking at the number, 57 views, are you kidding me? I got more just by me frying an egg in the morning.
Right. Yeah. Right. I mean, the millennials are taking over social media. If you look at all the highest paid like YouTube stars and all these influencers, they're millennials and they're making so much money just being on social media, just advertising by knowing their audience and knowing their brand, and they have value to their page. It's not just stuff that they're posting. I mean, I'm really trying to get to an influencer stage. It is so hard, but once you're there, and you can make so much money just by knowing, the value in what your page offers to any company. So,
And not to input a little bit about what IT was, what we do, I think that our core value is the 5 C's.
Yeah.
Start from the beginning is whatever we do, we gotta commit to it.
No, that's true.
Even though that we may not always do something that's right from the beginning, there's always a learning curve. There's always, okay, this works, that doesn't work. Hey, when we find something that it works, we make it work.
Right.
And then a lot of elements of making it happen. But I think number one thing is when you decide to do something, Coffee with Kyan, Tip Tuesday.
You gotta keep it consistent.
Yeah, and then continuously doing it. And
Yeah.
then people will remember that, and then hopefully that got more of you to engage with us, and then we'll collaborate through the entire process and see where things go. Oh my goodness, hi guys! Thank you for watching. Exciting! Yay! Please feel free to comment, share, like, and or repost, re-like, or react to what we have to say.
All the CTA, all the call to actions.
Yeah, we'd love to hear obviously like your point of view, and then how much value we can provide to you, and vice versa, how much you learn and interact and collaborate with you on the ideas and so on. So I want to talk to you about social media, specifically looking at business branding. How does this play into a bigger picture down the road? Because it seems like nowadays social media becomes, you when you start a company, you gotta have something to do your finances, accounting. Nowadays it seems like social media becomes one of the absolute necessity, not even like you had a career marketing campaign. How do you look at social media now to 5 years?
Now it's all about like perception. So now when anyone is interviewing for a company and interviewing for a job, like for example, if I'm a candidate and I'm talking to a recruitment agency, and at first they can't tell you the name of the company, right? And so then they tell you the name of the company. What's the first thing you do? You're going online, you're going on their Instagram page, you're going on Glassdoor, and so if you don't have an image online, a brand, a perception online, it's kind of like later on down the road, you're going to be back there with everyone else that's still doing that traditional marketing, and you're not with everyone else. That's all I do now. I investigate. If I'm looking for anything, I investigate on Instagram. I want to see what their company culture is. I want to follow their employees. I want to know what they're doing in the office. I mean, you can even find out what they do as a company, because sometimes the websites, it's just a website, they don't tell you anything. So me being able to go on their Instagram page and their Facebook page, I'm able to analyze, is this a company I want to work for? Do I see myself working here? Do I like their company culture? You can't get all that in an interview or even from a recruiter. So I think later on down the line, companies are going to start to see that they need social media to just brand themselves, to, especially for hiring. Millennials nowadays, they're harsh. They're changing jobs every 6 months, and they're looking for a company that's going to fit their culture. So if they don't see that online, then they're not going to come work for you. I mean, I know that's how I am. Not the changing 6 jobs to apart, but but just for the perception side of things, if it's a place that I don't feel like I'll fit in from looking on social media, and granted, sometimes social media can lie, but for the most part, it's pretty accurate. If it's not a place that I want to be, 9 times out of 10, I won't take the time to even apply for the job or want to come in for an interview. So
yeah, because I know we just talked about a company or a business got to know its audience, got to know that who is touching, how that's generating, and so on. But also on the other end, it's always a two-way street.
Always.
There is a perception out there, and then those perceptions tend to be very, very subjective because you and I look at the same thing.
Right.
Even though we see how it is, how we interpret it,
it's different.
Exactly. So how do you, in this case, in your expertise, how do you look at, how can we, what is your goal or what is your ultimate purpose in terms of should we be catching a wider audience or should we be focusing on what we do?
Right.
Or how do we not let the perception / more subjective comments become much more of a dominant factor?
I mean, I guess it just depends on the brand. So for example, us here, we're a niche. We're not just a recruitment agency that are looking for administrative assistants, or we're a niche market. So my goal is anytime that I'm even on Instagram, for example, the people that I'm following, the people that I'm speaking to, I'm interacting with are going to be people that find a value in our page. Me speaking to college students out of college is probably not going to be someone that's going to bring a value to us because they're not going to have enough experience for what we're looking for, right?
Even though they may find that it's very cool.
Right, even though they might find it's cool, or we're not just a traditional, we're not just an IT company. So I speak with Salesforce developers or analysts or companies that are looking for certain jobs that we staff for. Those are more so what my goal is, and that's with any company. It's not just about clicking follow, because at the end of the day, you might have 10,000 followers. I preach this all the time. You might have 10,000 followers, but only 2,000 of those followers are actually followers with value. Yeah. People that, are...
So what's the point here?
Meaning it doesn't matter, if you have 100K followers. Same thing on LinkedIn. You can click on and have a whole bunch of connections because I swear to God, I've seen it and I've done it. But at the same token, if these are not people in your timeline that are, like I do social media, it's no need for me to follow people that are in the healthcare industry because they're not going to be of value to me. I can't get any advice from them and vice versa. So that's how I kind of look at it, and that's my goal when I, do anything on social media related for a brand or for an individual.
And down the road, obviously by doing so, the crazy part about social media is once it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah.
Even when you delete it,
right.
There's always a trace on the internet.
Always.
Yeah, how do you look at potentially down the road these seeds being planted
right.
to further influence, like for example, somebody who is a new grad,
right.
not directly into, let's pick a market, Salesforce for example,
right.
And then because of what they saw what you did and said, oh, that sounds very cool, and playing that seed, oh yeah, actually Salesforce, I heard about Salesforce because of so-and-so, and connect the dots.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good way of looking at it. That's more the networking side of things. I mean, anything, like me when I do content, right, I don't like to post just to post. Anything, I don't just like to post an image and I post 2 words on it. I really like to make sure there's something of value behind it, right? So like you said, if I, for example, I use a different hashtag for what we do, I always use the hashtag recruitment with any post that we do, because just because we're IT, it could be recruitment. So it's the same thing, like you said, it could be like a college student that gets on Twitter and they want to investigate something that's, IT technology recruitment based or Salesforce based, and they see that recruitment hashtag and they click on it, they see us, they're like, cool, IT works. What do they do? And they might be something, well, I didn't even know anything about being a technical recruiter, so they might be interested in the IT space, but not necessarily information systems, but they're like, hey, I didn't know I could be a technical recruiter, and that might be something later on down the line they can want to be a technical recruiter.
Because nobody went to school for recruitment.
No one goes to school for recruitment. It's something that people fall into. I see it on LinkedIn all the time. They used to do social media or be administrative assistant, and then all of a sudden they fall into recruitment.
Boom.
Right. And so, it's a job that most people don't know about unless it's in their face or someone tells them about it. So social media is a good way for them to investigate and later on to plant that seed, like you said.
And it's funny that because recruiters tend to be the first few people when they step into the professional world.
Yeah.
And it's funny that most people don't know what to do with it, let alone know how to write their resume properly,
right.
Other than the school's career services are teaching them.
Right.
Which a lot of times that, again, another perception, they may be leading them into a more standard resume.
Right.
But obviously career services at each school is trying to teach
it's different.
5,000 plus, 50,000 plus
Yeah,
that's coming out.
When I was in college and I did my resume, and people always just laugh at me, but when I got out of college, I had a red resume, a yellow, a pink, and people used to be like, Jazz, that's not what career services taught you. But I had a friend that told me that, and this was just from one company, and this was back then when I was kind of younger, but a lot of companies that get so many resumes, they kind of just scatter it all on the table, right? And so if they all look the same, how do they know which one to pick? So you have a pink piece of paper that's sitting right there, they're going to pick it out automatically. And 9 times out of 10, my skills might have matched what they're looking for in a candidate, and 9 times out of 10, I'm more likely to get a call back from someone else. But right, so colleges, and they don't teach you those kind of things, but if you get on social media, they do. I mean, it's just stuff that you just learn for yourself after a while, but social media is good for those type of things.
What are some of your favorite platforms that you like to play with?
LinkedIn is my favorite. Let me tell you why. Just because I feel like I'm like a mini LinkedIn celebrity, kind of. Mini. But I really love LinkedIn, and the only reason why I really love LinkedIn because I've networked with so many people since I've been here, and I've been using my LinkedIn as more than I've used it before. And every day I'm always posting something about social media, right? People interact with me, and they are asking me questions. I mean, I've met so many people that I would have never not met, in person. And then I like Instagram, and I like Instagram just because it's super visual. Nowadays, millennials, we're more about seeing and we hate reading. I don't like to read past one sentence, never less a paragraph. So Instagram allows you to just say what you need to say really quick with the picture, with the video, and it's right there. And so those are probably my 2 favorite platforms right now that I've been using, that I'm on it all the time, if not 24/7. And they're effective. So I love them.
So where do you see that? What happens with these, systems? Because 10 years ago there was those of you who grew up with Friendster. I'm on the same boat with you. And through MySpace, obviously, I'm one of the first 5,000 Facebook users.
Really?
When it first came out.
Oh my
and
God.
Then to now today is there was through this transition, obviously Facebook acquired Instagram.
Right.
And then through the whole period, there's Vine.
Right.
There's many other platforms out there. They all went through their up and downs. Come and go. And then what do you see down the next 2 years immediately? What are the things potentially that may come up to the surface will boost?
Well, I definitely see Snapchat going away. Just because, and the only reason why I say this is, and I've even noticed it with myself, when Snapchat first came out, I was on it.
Super cool, the filters.
Right, I didn't even use Instagram, right? And now, when I've gotten into more so the professional network, in the professional world where I'm having to use social media more, I stopped using Snapchat because there was no value to it. I mean, you can run ads and stuff, but you truly have to be like a bigger company to run an ad. It was just like when we went to Dreamforce and we bought one of the filters, so people would know IT Works was there, and we got there and they refunded us and they said, sorry, your company wasn't big enough for a filter. I'm like, dude, And so I definitely see Snapchat going away because even a lot of companies, they don't see no value into it. I definitely see LinkedIn taking a roof just for everything. I mean, I didn't even know that 90% of the network on LinkedIn is recruiters. I didn't even know. And so it's becoming more where people are stepping off of Indeed and Monster, and they're going on LinkedIn to look for their jobs, and they're going on LinkedIn to post. And then Facebook. Facebook is just doing everything. I mean, you can post jobs on Facebook, you can run ads, you can do live videos, you can do stories. I mean, you can run a business on Facebook, and I see it, going to the roof. And Twitter, it's like one of those up and down platforms. So when it came out, it was like everyone was on it, and then it took a low, and now it's gradually coming back up. I mean, it's increased over 160%.
And there's a level of consistency to it because there's
right. They've increased their character count. I mean, so Twitter is becoming to come back on, and Instagram. I don't see Instagram going anywhere. Just because the millennials love it, and you have the next generation that's coming in, and they're just visual. I mean, if you literally look at all the stories on Instagram, it's kids that are younger than me. I mean, I'm 25. So you have kids that are on there like 16, 17, 18. These are how these kids are getting famous, and they're running their businesses off Instagram. So those are probably the platforms that I see. And I'm sure there's going to be a platform that's going to sneak in like it always does.
And challenge them. My app's cooler than yours.
Yeah. Oh, of course. It's coming.
That's kind of funny because it started from a hype of something to a trend of something,
right.
And then really changed people's behavior.
Right.
I think I'm saying that because, for example, if you look at Facebook, since the acquisition, Instagram is doing the parallel things what Facebook used to do, but better.
Right.
And then Facebook become this mega pot of you can sell things on Facebook.
Yeah.
Applying for jobs on Facebook, which 5 years ago was unthinkable. The first thing you think of, you're looking for a job, you want to lock or go private with your Facebook account. And I have to say that I personally admit that Facebook becomes one of my primary sources on how I get news. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And 2 years ago, I wouldn't have thought that really.
Right.
You get your news sources from Facebook.
Right.
But, then you see all the credible resources. I'm not gonna name them because I think everybody that can be very subjective. That you can actually name all of them, and they have really real life updates from them.
Right.
Something not driven by just a purely integration with YouTube, Twitter, and also their own platform and so on.
Right.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, I really want to go back on what you were saying about how you used to hide your Facebook profile. And it's crazy because
we all did that, right?
It's crazy because I've spoken to hiring managers on LinkedIn, and they told me that now they look at your application, but I've heard of hiring managers, hey, I didn't hire someone because I saw their Instagram or I saw their Facebook or I saw their LinkedIn. Like, companies are now going on your social profile. That's your resume. It's not the piece of paper that you turn in. That's just kind of something to get you through the door. But like, social media is truly your resume. They want to see what you look like. They want to see what you do on the weekends. Or do you drink? What is your relationship status? They can literally answer every single question that they want to ask you through your social profile. So anyone that has a social profile out there that is trying to apply for a job, just make sure you either have, like, I have 2 profiles. I have a professional one on Facebook, and then I have one that, shows the fun side of me, obviously. Keep it clean, or make sure that I preach this to people because they always like, oh, they don't really look at it. No, they do. Really clean up your profile. Really clean it up.
It's very important because why? This is all part of your personal brand.
Yeah.
And people used to be so careful or protective of using quotation mark about this is the personal side of me, this is the work side of me. We can put however label you want it. Again, it's perception, it's subjective to other people's opinion about when they look at how you write, how you look, and then but you know what? Have those been there since human beings started?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And they scroll. I mean, companies, they go all the way down, and they look at everything. They want to know what you were like 2 years ago, a year ago. What have you been doing? Do you work? Do you not work? Like, what do you eat? They want to analyze everything about you, and they can do that.
Oh, they just went to
and see the people that you know. So they're like, oh, you know Kyan? Oh, I know Kyan. So Kyan, do you know Jazmin? So what does she like to do? This is what companies do, and this is how they can figure out if you fit into their company culture or not, if it's even worth interviewing you.
Exactly.
I know.
It's much bigger than that, and everything is multi-dimension together versus a single line, pigeonhole type of relationship building. So tying back to the personal brand. We'll use that as my ending topic.
Yeah.
So how do you look at the personal brand? How can we advance, improve, enhance our personal brand for anybody who's interested in building something for themselves?
Right. I mean, honestly, it just starts with yourself, right? You got to know what your brand is. So for me, like, I work in a recruitment agency, but my brand is social media. I want to be known as your social media queen or whatever the case is. And so I know that when I'm posting my content, my videos or whatever I do, it needs to be of value to anyone that watches me that's social media related, PR related, marketing related. And so I would say that in your personal brand. So if you are a personal trainer, anything that you do on your page should be in relation to that because that's your brand. So when they're scrolling through your page, you're not confused on who you are. Like, oh, okay, that's Kyan. What does he do? No, it's like, oh, that's Kyan. He has coffee with Kyan. He does marketing. He does talent acquisition. And so I would definitely keep that in mind. When you're doing your personal brand, understand what is your brand. Ask yourself that. What is your brand? And then go from there when it's time to create content and videos and interacting with people and making friends and followers. And that's what I would keep in mind.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
If anybody have any questions for the queen of social media, how should they contact you?
I'm on LinkedIn. So Jazmin Griffith. I am on Instagram, the Socialista, and then same thing on Twitter as well. So yeah.
Exciting. Thank you for the Socialista and the queen of social media, Jazmin Griffith.
Thank you.
Thank you. You'll see a lot of exciting things from us.
Thank you, guys.
From Jazmin. Any question, ask away. 678-291-0081. We'll see you guys. Maybe we'll be next year.
Yeah, next year is when I'm doing a coffee with Kyan. So I'll see you in 2018.
See you guys. Enjoy the rest of your 2017. We'll see you next year.
Thanks.